Hey, so in this tutorial, I'll show you step by step how to build a customer support AI agent with Appmixer, our no-code AI agent builder. So this whole solution consists of three parts. The first part is what you see here, and this is the Appmixer interface, where you put in different components and compose your AI agent flow. We'll also show a demo application used to collect support requests. This demo application was built on software, and basically you can submit new requests that are taken in as tickets for the agentic flow that I've shown here. Now, as a database, sitting behind this customer support application is a simple Google Sheets database that's just grabbing new tickets. Now, of course, within your own solution, this would be more advanced. So this would be your own customer support solution. And instead of Google Sheets, you would have your own database. And you can plug in Appmixer into that. So as soon as within your custom database, a new ticket is detected, it's gonna trigger off this agentic workflow. So now let's see how this whole thing is built. So we're starting completely from scratch with an empty canvas. And the first thing we're going to add is the trigger. In this case, is the new ticket detected on a Google Sheets. So we'll need a Google Sheets trigger. I'll select new row as the trigger. Once you've added that, you'll just connect to your Google Sheets account and select the right spreadsheet and worksheet. In my setup, these are the correct names. Once I've selected the spreadsheet and worksheet, I also put in the index column, which is the first column in your spreadsheet, and I'm ready to continue. The next step will be the AI agent. So we support different LLM providers, such as Google Gemini, OpenAI, or Claude. I'll start with the OpenAI agent. Now, when you're using an AI agent with an Appmixer, you'll connect to your own OpenAI account and select the model that you want to use. In this case, it's GPT-4o. Then you'll put in the instructions, which is the sort of the main prompt that your agent should use to process all the requests that come in. So I'll copy paste the prompt that I've tested before. It's describing what's the goal and role of the agent. The prompt is also describing how the agent should output the result. So we want the data to be transformed to JSON and have these particular elements. Then the prompt is also describing what tools the agent has available, so the database and online search, and how it should open and close the ticket, and additional instructions. The prompt will be available in the tutorial linked in the description. Next, you'll have to define what kind of data comes in and where the agent should take the data from. So I'll say this is the support ticket. So I'll put in several data variables coming in from the Google Sheets. The first one's going to be the name of the request. So I'll just type in request, colon, and then I'll use a data variable by clicking here, and I'll grab the request coming in from Google Sheets. I enter and continue with the description. So the same way, I'll look for description coming from the Google Sheets, and I'll also add the email of the customer. So next, I'll define the tools that the agent has access to process the requests that come in. So I'll click on Tools and start adding the tools. Whenever you're adding tools for the agent in Appmixer, you'll need to start with the tool start component, which is a special component that describes for the agent what this component does and what it's about. And this helps the agent to produce consistent results because it's always going to grab the description of the tools that it has access to and decide which ones it should use. So in this case, this tool will search through the internal knowledge base to find the correct answer. Next, I'll put in the actual tool. Since we'll be using a vector database as a data source, a vector database is a specialized data source for LLMs. We'll need to first use a special component called generate embeddings, which is a sort of a specialized lookup component so that the agent can find the right type of information within that vector database. So I'll find the generate embeddings component and add it to the flow. Here I'll again need to connect on my OpenAI account. So in this case, I'm going to look for the data variable coming in from the AI agent, and it's going to be the prompt, which is the text that the agent received as the request to process. The rest of the settings are okay. This is a good model to use. Next, I'll connect the actual vector database so that we can perform the lookup. So I'll look for Pinecone query vectors because that's the database that we're using. Now for Pinecone, I'll connect to my account, and then I'll need to specify the index and namespace, which is defining which specific database within your account you want to use for the lookup. So I've selected my database, and then I'll look in for the vector that it should use. In this case, it's going to be the first vector variable because that's going to be the most relevant lookup result for us. Last step on this query vector step is putting a result transformation, and this just ensures we're getting the right format of response from the vector database. The instructions and more context about why it's needed is provided here in the tooltip. The last step for the vector database tool is to tell the agent where it should read the result. So we'll do that with the tool output component. And this is where we define for the agent how it should read the data. And we'll look for the transformed result variable coming in from the query vector tool. Now this means we've completed the setup for the first tool for the AI agent, which is the vector database, performing lookup of your custom data related to your own product. The next step is to Perplexity, which is an AI search tool that you can use for gathering additional context. So if the agent doesn't find the right information in the vector database, chances are if it performs an AI-powered lookup on your documentation site, you're going to find the right information. So again, I'll add it here to the tools. I'll need the tool start component again. Within tool start, I'll describe for the agent what the tool does. Then I'll add the Perplexity component. You can add Perplexity as an MCP server because we also support those, or you can add it as a regular component, which is what I'm going to do here. So you'll connect to your Perplexity account and provide instructions for the search. It should find our information in our online documentation. For the prompt, you'll use data coming in from the request. So that's going to be the request title and the description. So request data coming from the Google Sheets, and the same for the description. The last step is to tell the agent where to find the output of the tool. So we'll do that with the tool output component. So in the output, I'll just define the variable that it should use. In this case, it's the output from the perform search component by Perplexity, and it's the result of the search. Okay, so we've completed the setup of the two tools used for the AI agent, looking up data in the vector database, and also using Perplexity AI search to find additional information in the online documentation if needed. The last step is to define where the agent should respond and set up the approval system if that's something you want to do as well. Now here I'm going to use a special component called transform text to JSON, and this is going to output a structured JSON in my preferred format, and that's going to make it easier for me to use specific parts of the AI agent output in the approval flow and in the emails that are sent to customers. So let's do that. I'll use the AI transform text to JSON. As for the text that this component should process, I'll use the answer coming from the AI agent, and I'll also define the output JSON schema. Now, in this case, I want the customer email, the subject, and the email body, which is what I'm going to use to send or approve the actual emails before it's sent to the customer. Okay, so the next step is to set up the approval. Of course, if you're okay going without approval, then we could connect the Gmail or any other component right here, and the AI processed solution would just go off. But if you want to introduce an approval step, we have ready-made components for that as well. So we'll add in the email approval component here is the request approval email. So for the task title, I'll put in something like, it's just a ticket resolution, and I'll put in the ticket title. For the description, you can use Markdown to format this so that it looks nice and clearly organized in the approval email. So in the ticket itself, I want to have three distinct sections. The first one is the ticket, then the customer query, and then the answer proposed by the AI. So I'll map the corresponding data items in here. It's going to be the request title. For the query, it's going to be the description, which is the body of the issue. And then for the AI generated answer, it's going to be the output of the transform text to JSON component, and it's going to be JSON email body, because this in the JSON is the part that we want to use as the main content of the AI proposed solution. Next, you can define what's the email of the requester. So I'll put in the support email of our team, and then for the approver, I'll put in my own email. You can also set up a specific date and time by which the approver needs to react to this approval request. And here I can put in the timestamp for now and modify that to add some extra period to it. So to modify it, I'll click this pencil icon here, and I'll add a modifier. Specifically, I'll look for the date modifier, and I'll add time. So if I add 3 extra dates to it, then this is going to be the due date for the request. And the last step is to add what should happen with the data when the request is approved, or what should happen if the request is rejected. So you can do that using the output ports here on the side of the email approval component. So when the AI proposed solution is approved, I want to send the email to the customer. So I'll use the send email component from Gmail. Here I'll connect my account. I'll set up the from parameters here. So it's going to be the support email and the support team as the name. And here I'll define using the data variables coming in from the JSON transformation, I'll use that to set up the recipient of the emails. So this is going to be the JSON customer email variable. For subject, it's going to be the JSON email subject. And then for the text, this is going to be the JSON email body variable. Right, and for those tickets that where the AI proposed solution is actually rejected, you want to assign that to a human agent, put it in whatever task management system you need to, and you can do that using the rejected port out here. So for example, if I want the task to go to ClickUp, I'll use the create task in ClickUp component here. And for ClickUp, you would just select your own account and then select the space. So here would be this space that I'm using and a list. So that's support tickets. And for name, we would use the variables coming in from ticket itself. All right, so this is the complete setup of this customer support AI agent. It's looking for new tickets, processing them using the OpenAI agent component, using the tools to look up data and look up additional information online when needed. It's transforming the text, setting up the approval email, and performing specific actions if it's approved or rejected. Again, this is modular, so you can connect different applications and different components based on how you want to build the system and make it your own. I hope this was helpful. I'll see you in the next one.